What up, chat? Welcome back to the pod, the Luke Pressler pod. Today we're talking about VRIN analysis, VRIN for short. The resource-based view is a conceptualization of the firm that attempts to explain why some firms are more profitable than others. The logic boils down to more successful firms possessing resources and or capabilities that are superior to those of competitors and difficult for competitors to replace. Resources are things that the firm owns or has access to, that it can use to create and capture value. Capabilities are things the firm does to create and capture value. Note that not doing something is not a capability. Keep that in mind. If, for example, a firm does not advertise and this benefits them strategically, it is incorrect to say that not advertising is a capability. Instead, one must identify what the firm does that allows them not to advertise. That's called capability. You see what I'm saying? Similarly, a strategy or strategic choice is not a capability. If a firm successfully executes a strategic decision, you need to identify the resources or capabilities that made that execution successful. The decision itself was not a resource or capability. However, strategic adaptation, making a series of strategic decisions in response to environmental changes, can be a capability. Identifying what type of competitive advantage a firm has, meaning temporary or sustainable, requires identifying the resources and capabilities that are key to its success. These are also known as core competencies. Each of them, or relevant combinations, should then be analyzed according to the VRIN criteria. How valuable it is, meaning does it increase the price customers are willing to pay, attract more customers, or lower costs? How rare it is, meaning do many other firms have access to a similar competency? How costly it is to imitate, pretty self-explanatory, and how costly it is to substitute, meaning can other firms easily access a different resource or capability that accomplishes the same purpose? Let's keep going here. Talk about rarity, and rarity is the characteristic that most students have a hard time understanding. Some people, like me, we'd have a hard time understanding that. The question of rarity very much has to do with a nature or degree. For example, most firms have reputations, but when assessing the rarity of the reputation of a specific firm, the question is not whether other firms have reputations. The question is whether many other firms have a reputation that is similar to the reputation of the firm being analyzed. Similarly, the degree or quality of the resource matters. For example, if a manufacturer has been recognized as the highest quality manufacturer in its field, then its reputation for quality is rare, even if other competitors have reputations for quality. Think about like cars, right? Certain car brands like a BMW, great cars. So does Ferrari, so does Lamborghini. But still, they're not known for being pieces of crap. It's high-end stuff. Being seen as the best is rare. Another common problem with reasoning about rarity is when the analysis says that a resource is not rare but is difficult to imitate. That doesn't really make sense. If a resource is not rare, then it probably isn't that hard to imitate because it had been imitated a bunch of times. So VRIN analysis is performed resource by resource, one at a time. It is incorrect to say Apple is valuable because, or Apple is rare because, etc. What are we talking about? It is also incorrect to say a valuable resource of Apple's is its operating system, a rare resource of Apple's is its brand. No. What? One at a time, folks. These are both very common mistakes, and they do not provide any insight into sustainable competitive advantage because sustainable competitive advantage comes from resources and capabilities that meet all of the VRIN criteria. The correct approach is from resources and capabilities that meet all of the VRIN criteria. The correct approach is, I just accidentally looped my B. Apple's operating system is valuable because Apple's operating system is rare because it's the same thing. You see what I'm saying? The following table that I want to speak out for you is a useful illustration of the correct approach to VRIN analysis. It could be written down in a paragraph form. fairly easily for inclusion in a report or memo. Note, this is for a fictional hypothetical firm. It is not meant to represent reality. So this fake one we'll get into it. The resource capability. So its first resource is its reputation. That might be a capability. I can't remember. Valuable reputation. Because if we are known for quality, people are going to be like, yeah, I want the high end. If people think about you high end, man, you're in the right place. Let's talk about rare. Rare, it says yes. Not many people have the same reputation for quality as we do. Difficult to imitate? Yes. Difficult to substitute? Yes. Remember, those go hand in hand. And this firm is known as the best in its industry, and path dependency makes it difficult for competitors to catch up. So, if it's inimitable, whatever, you can't really substitute either. And so, innovative marketing is both valuable and rare. Difficult to imitate is somewhat, and difficulty to substitute is somewhat, right? Other firms may be able to develop similar capabilities or copy the firm's tactics, but it would still be difficult, and the firm's reputation increases the effectiveness of its marketing. So it works all together, right? And then human capital management is our last resource or capability. And valuable, yes. Rare, yes. Difficult to imitate, yes. Difficult to substitute, somewhat. Human capital management capabilities have a great deal of social complexity involved and depend heavily on firm culture, which is very difficult to imitate. A competitor may be able to acquire other resources to decrease the advantage from this firm's human capital management. So all in all, when you're looking at it, a resource or capability, man, you're going one step at a time. I mean, you're not looking at, good quality that's valuable and then going to innovative marketing that's rare. All of these categories of valuable, rare, difficult to imitate and substitute all goes for one resource. So important to keep that in mind. Thanks for watching the pod. Catch you later, folks. Stay in.